Hi, welcome back. My name is Jessica, and this is Jay Gilly Tarot. You may book a personal reading with me at any time at jgilly.com. That's JGILLY.com. All right, general disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. My psychic opinion, not fact, and all allegedly. Okay. All right. So I've been having some technical issues lately. Apologies for the delay in getting this video out. I've been sitting on the information I've been downloading and just waiting for the right time. I'm flowing like water. I'm not getting too bent out of shape with all my hackers and stuff like that are trying to stop the truth from getting out. I must be onto something, right? So, can't stop, won't stop. The only difference between truth and a conspiracy theory is 6 months, right? So, okay, let's get into it. So, first off, I want to address, there have been some hella um, ascension symptoms and upgrades. I mean, craziness. And be gentle with your bodies. My guides wanted me to kind of give you a breakdown of what I've been experiencing in my body with the ascension upgrades and symptoms. And if you are kind of late to the party and aren't familiar with ascension symptoms, these are physical symptoms in the body as a consequence of the 3D, 5D frequency shifts. As you know, the Schumann resonance is spiking lately, and Mother Gaia, Earth, is changing in frequency, and so are we. We are changing in consciousness, and it feels a little bit like a roller coaster. I'm not going to lie. And personally, I've almost had like feelings of like physical death, but like it's more of an ego death. And like I'm just kind of like sometimes I'll get a little anxiety or panic, but in my body, and it just feels like I'm physically about to die. And then not to be morbid and dramatic, but and then like, I'll do breathing techniques and meditation and things to kind of get my nervous system all regulated and back to equilibrium. And in the morning, it's like something has shifted in my spiritual consciousness that I've let go. An old part of me has died off, or a belief system, or something implanted in my belief system in my auric field. We have a lot of etheric implants with that make it possible with heavy metals and toxins in our everyday 3D world. And the 5D is catching up and purging all of that. So sometimes you will actually have the physical symptoms trickle down in your physical body, physical vessel. And personally with me lately, oh my God, the aches and pains, the bone aches, especially in my back and my spine. Um, a lot of itching on my feet as well. And I am on a very strict, like, no sugar, candida overgrowth diet, so I know it's not like athlete's foot or anything. Um, and so also maybe racing heartbeat all of a sudden out of nowhere when you're restful and kind of not anxious. Um, Another thing too is sweating and needing to urinate a lot frequently, more frequently than usual. And it only lasts for about 24 hours, and then you feel back to normal. So it's kind of like this roller coaster. Everybody's going to have different symptoms. Some people might have ear ringing, tension headaches. For me, also dizziness and like needing to sit down. Oh my gosh. I even had dizziness while dreaming, which was wild. It was like I was aware, somewhat awake and lucid. In the dream I was dreaming, I was feeling really dizzy and nauseous and needed to sit down. And I was aware and also feeling that as I was sleeping. So, also waking up from like 3 to 4 a.m. or, the wee hours of the morning. And then I fall back asleep. That's a constant. So be gentle. We're going through a lot. We're going through a lot with the collective consciousness, our world. Um, it's like Star Wars. There's everything flying all around, spiritually, physically. So, take your time. That's the silent protest, in my opinion, is going at your own pace energetically, not letting anybody rush you and, making choices from your intuition and free will. So just wanted to put that out there. If anybody felt like, the collective this week was needing a little bit of reassurance to be gentle and just go at your own pace. Any aches and pains, it's like the next day within 24 hours, poof, I'm back better than ever. So, we're really kind of tapping into just how miraculous the body is as a self-regenerating machine. And I think that's been the biggest, real-time epiphany for myself. Like, I always knew that. I always practiced that. I always use quantum codes and visualizing for my personal, exercises of manifestation and raising my vibration. But it's kind of like sped up exponentially, kind of like within hours. So it's really cool to see. I encourage you guys to really take stock and notice just how quickly you can turn around a frequency in the matter of minutes, hours, days. And yeah, see what your superpowers are. Okay. So, today, what I wanted to channel and pull a few cards on is I don't know about you guys, but these missing scientists and the headlines with this and the cover ups and the quote unquote self unaliving, self exiting. I don't buy it. I'm sure you don't either if you're like tapped in like myself. And one particular anti-gravity scientist that just like keeps rattling around in my brain and following me is Amy Eskridge. I don't know why. I definitely feel like she's a star seed. Um, in fact, I kind of was tapping into her higher self the other day, and I saw her sitting on a council, a very high up council. Um, in the ninth dimension, I'm going to say. And she is heavily guarded and protected by the spiritual realm. But I also picked up that there was an amphibian race that was connected to her quote unquote unaliving. And that also, now this is all allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, but um, I was picking up that there was some switch with her body, that there was something they had on ice, something that was cloned. I asked if it was cloned. I got a yes. If Amy was cloned or her DNA was like almost pickled cryo in a cryo chamber and used for the forensics or the FBI, autopsy report, that kind of thing. I also got a yes. So interesting, right? And I also saw that there was a huge connection to Pentagon documents. I know that she was claiming and texting her friends about a month before she passed away. she alerted them that she was not schmooicidal, that she loved her life, and that there were directed energy weapons from the Pentagon in particularly, that she allegedly was saying that they were targeting her. And I absolutely believe that, because when I looked up the mainstream news headline in Gematria, it equated to the same numbers as Pentagon documents. So there is something very significant connected there. Now, I feel on a broader scale, this is all connected to time travel. And I saw one of her interviews as well that she claimed that the ultra terrestrials were actually our ancestors, but also us from the future. And I think it was like P45, um, something like that, that she named and identified. And I 100% agree with this theory. She probably has way more factual evidence, and that's probably why she was taken out. Supposedly, her character was taken out. Um, and just to kind of like piggyback on that, there's a lot of abductions, and people have claimed that extraterrestrials also have, like, they kind of almost excrete their waste through their skin. And that's why lymphatic brushing for us is so important with getting out the toxins. And if extraterrestrials claim to excrete from their skin, and they have human waste coming from their skin, and that's maybe why they feel bad, they started off as us, right? So I 100% believe this theory. I know that there's so many different hybrids, so many different star systems, we'll call them planets, worlds, that the DNA is mixed, experimented on. So there's tons of versions. There's a spectrum, right? Just like anything in our world. But I believe this is all connected to time travel. I think that the White House press dinner where the attempted assassination occurred and the shooting, I think the shooter is connected to time travel. I think Trump is connected to time travel. I think Trump has a couple of versions of himself cloned. And in fact, when I tapped in to remote view, I feel like the real Trump has been kind of MIA for a while now. Off time traveling somewhere, trying to fix something is what I got. Um, so I think this is all connected to time travel. And the most important thing for us as humans and the collective consciousness of humanity is to take the headlines, the bits of information about these scientists missing and what they did, what they were, their specific expertise were honed in on. And how can we apply that knowledge to our own lives to enlighten us, to free ourselves from the time loop trap? Right? They all want us to go down the rabbit hole. They all want us to give our energy and our eyesight, our third eye viewing, to a pre-programmed set of rules. So if we're busy digging and trying to get the facts, right? If we're energy flows where attention goes, if we're constantly funneling our energy to the motherboard of Earth, like all of the structures, all of the streets, it's a motherboard that siphons energy. When you get in the car and you go down the highway, it's taking electrons from us. That's why grounding is so important, and getting those electrons back from those negative ions back from the trees, back from the grass, because we're so kind of diminished. We're under LED lights all day, not out in the sunshine. We are, you know, inside the house where the oxygen is diminished, where it's not ventilated properly, and there's just you know what I'm talking about. There's just a lot. There's a lot that's being energy harvested from us in little increments, but have big long-term consequences in our health, in our ability to function, and our cognition. And so, um, I think this is all directed to plasma as well. So, plasma is the creative intelligence, the original AI, and the substance within us that gives us our spark, that gives us um, the connection to source. Um, it is also connected to our health. It is divine intelligence, in my opinion, as well. And so, yeah, let's get into it. I pulled some cards, and I asked her what was the purpose of unaliving you, and it was to give over all of her life's work, using her for information. And again, I'm getting these amphibian, this amphibian race. Now, the reptilians are what they call the lizards. Amphibians, I would say, are a close family to the reptilians, but have a lot of underwater abilities, right? And lately, I've been having ancestral beings that are green visit me, and their hair almost looks like it's been water soaked. Like it almost looks like frayed rope, and they come with braids. So these new beings, these ancestors that are underwater, can breathe underwater, and we obviously the first 9 months of our lives we can breathe in amniotic fluid, right? We can survive in an encapsulated water system. So I found that connection really fascinating, and I've been downloading um, new Akashic information that was already embedded, or uncovering new Akashic records that was already embedded in me from past lives, and maybe was walled off. But now that I'm at a space of ascension, or in the stage of my ascension to uncover um, this information, it's interesting because I find there's a deeper full circle moment connected to Amy's work, also connected to the race of the amphibians, possibly the Mayan ancestors, because they're known to have underwater cities. And then also, just FYI, uh, the headlines with that guy that was like abducted by dolphins. Instead, he was underneath, like being used to build cities for a few days. I mean, I'd 100% believe that story. Life is stranger than fiction. So, I hope that all makes sense. I'm just going on tangents like normal. Um, she had to give over her life's work. They were using her and her consciousness, in particular, the amphibian race. Now, when I tap into her energy, I feel her consciousness, her soul on a lower dimension, like, I'm gonna say the 4th dimension, the one that was the original avatar body vessel, not the clone that they used to show proof that she was unalived. I feel that she is trapped on some base somewhere. Now, it's definitely dark, but there's a lot of wood and brown walls is what I'm picking up. Can you tell me? Somewhere maybe in Israel. She's being patient. She's waiting for something to strike, something to hit the US or the world. US is going to be the first one, but the world will be affected as well. I'm getting gastrointestinal virus attack on the anatomical system. I also have this card, Fidel Castro. It says, nobody's ever known exactly what Fidel was up to. Link this card to one hidden plot, put it upside down on the table. Nothing can expose that plot while Fidel remains in play. If the plot is used, you may link another one to Fidel on your own turn. Interesting. We got this card a couple weeks ago, I think. Giant Kudzu. Disaster. Attack to destroy any place. It does not require an action. Its power is 30 against a coastal place, 24 against any other place. This is not an instant attack. Any group can use its action to aid the victim. If the attack succeeds, the target is devastated. If the die roll succeeds by more than 6, the target place is completely destroyed. So, my big point I wanted to drive home is that we have to start steering the ship in what we give our energy to in order to change the timeline towards New Earth, towards autonomy, towards independence, towards freedom, and breaking the chains of the enslavement of the collective consciousness of humans. That means taking more digital breaks. That means if you do read the headlines, using it to your advantage to pick out the information that you can apply in your everyday life. So back to plasma, oxygenation, hydration, sunshine, nature, replenishing all the nutritional elements and minerals that are being depleted from us intentionally. Growing your own food, focusing on your health. I think, especially with my ascension symptoms this week, everything was immediately turned around once I really focused on oxygenation. I take ozone drops every day. I also use my oxygen concentrator to replenish oxygen and breathe. I kind of look like a COPD patient, but I do it just for, a boost of energy and, you know, with my own ailments, everybody's got something, right? And so using that to my advantage to get ahead of the game. Health is first and foremost right now. in, I think, everybody's life. We can't do anything if we don't have our health first. And so, this is just your daily reminder. Put yourself first. It's not narcissistic. It's not selfish. It's necessary to anchor in the light codes needed for our future timeline. I'm also getting a pull here to Las Vegas. So the card says it's got a jack, an ace of spades, and a jack of spades. You can control the house. See? By spending Vegas action, you may bet from 1 to 3 plot cards with any other player. Roll 2 dice. On a 6 or less, they win and draw from your deck. On a 7 or more, you win and you draw from their deck. So immediately what I'm getting from this, just by the numbers, number 7 in numerology usually points to spiritual practices and spirituality, transcending number 6, the material. So I think a lot of us, especially now with, rising gas prices, which has been intentional, and the control of the oil and all that, what's going on in the Middle East, they're wanting us to be in a state of panic, hysteria, fear, and lack. Like there's not enough materials to go around. It's also to restrict our energy and change the auric shape to fear. So that's easily manipulated by energy weapons. And so this is exactly why I'm constantly repeating and driving that home, that to anchor in to your sovereignty and anchor into your health. You got to start somewhere. Just start with small little steps and changes, and you'll see a huge difference in how you sleep, in how you think, in your confidence, in your ability to create your own reality, because that is our superpower. They want to siphon that. And there are a lot of Star Wars wars going on to fight for the control of that. And these scientists are a prime example of that. They don't want this information getting out. They don't want people to have free energy and the knowledge that you can be self-sufficient, autonomous, and just don't want word getting out. But the word is in your living DNA. And your living DNA is being short circuited by things beyond our control. And so, if we start somewhere, we can transcend the motherboard that they've laid out in highways and buildings and towers that are siphoning us. Also, the word corporate sticking out of me. Yeah, it's all owned by corporations, BlackRock. But they're losing control. That is certain. And so, how do we rebuild? How do we regenerate? It's by focusing on our plasma, the creative intelligence of source that is embedded in all of us, that connects us to everything that's living. And is the circuitry, the natural circuitry that connects all of the neurons, all the brains across the world. And we're kind of moving as one. So I think more will come out.